Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the high ground. Today, we're gonna be diving into lightsaber duels. I have some awesome lightsaber duelists as my panel this time, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting. We're gonna jump into that right now here on the high ground. All right. Hello and welcome everybody to another High Ground podcast.
Hello.
Super excited. We are, going to have a great conversation. But I want to start by jumping around the room and having everyone introduce themselves. So we'll start with who are you? Where can we find you and your content? And since you guys are all Saber Masters, who was your master that taught you? What style do you guys use and why? And I will go to Hannah first.
Oh, hello. I'm Hannah, or Hannah EMP on TikTok. So hang on, I gotta rethink of that question. So the person who taught me lightsabers is Big Daddy Yankee and Michelle C. Smith. Those are the whole reason I'm on here. What were the other questions?
Well, actually, Michelle is awesome, and specifically, I don't follow Big Daddy Yankee. I probably should find him. No, but I mean, if you were in the Star Wars universe, who would you want to be your master, either Jedi or Sith? But you can.
Sorry.
No, you can answer that separate. I'm just curious, what's if you're in the Star Wars universe, what lightsaber style are you? Fast and aggressive? You Ataru and do a lot of acrobatics?
So it would most likely be the most basic one ever because I'm very not dually at all. So it'd probably be a very basic, simple one. And then if I had to choose any master, it'd probably be Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon because they're the most, I don't know how to explain it, the most passionate about being a master.
Okay. Yeah, I especially see that with Qui-Gon. He's just a all-around stand-up guy,
Yeah.
And how about you, Grey Ghost Jedi? Also, what do you want? You guys can also let me know what you want me to call you while we're on here.
You can call me the Grey Ghost Jedi, but my real name is Cole. My favorite form to practice with lightsaber combat is DM. So I take my style off of Anakin. I'm a very aggressive fighter, and if I wanted my master to be someone from the Star Wars universe, it would be Count Dooku, the Master of Makashi.
Interesting. His style is actually the one that I would use, but I'll elaborate on that coming up. But I like it. How about you, Nico?
All right, so the form I probably use the most is Form 3 Saresu because I'm always in my room. Had a lot of control, a lot of spins, easy to weave into a flow. And the master I would probably want is Depa Balapa.
Okay,
I like that.
I feel like I'd be very disciplined and have a good understanding of the Force.
True. And also, we also can't deny that whole line of Mace Windu to Depa to Kanan to Ezra, all good people. And I also brought on Master Allen.
Good to see you guys.
Hey.
So, Master Allen, we've just been going around talking. I know you just hopped in here, but if you don't mind, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'm ready. Go ahead.
All right. So let everyone know, who are you, where we can find your content, and if you're in the Star Wars universe, who would you want your master to be?
Ooh. Okay.
And what style of fighting would you do?
All right. So I am your friendly neighborhood Master Allen. There are a lot of people that have seen me in a lot of different contexts on TikTok at this point. And so you can find me either at LevelUpLight1 or if you search the hashtag LevelUpSabers, LevelUpLightsaber, or the hashtag FNMA, Friendly Neighborhood Master Alan. Those are all going to bring you to my stuff. I'm also on Instagram. I'm having to make myself learn that social media platform. I'm closing in on 40, so I had kind of skipped that one. And now I'm having to go back and figure it out because so many of the friends I've made here on TikTok, that's the other big social media platform that they use, and I want to be able to stay connected with people.
Yeah.
Okay. Master and style. Okay.
I know you got some good cooking.
Well, there's two really good answers, and I honestly don't know which one I want to go with. Because the layup is Yoda. Because he's just so freaking perfect. Like, just so, like, there's so many speeches that Yoda gives to his students that, as a teacher myself, who is also a student, like the conversation he has with Luke in The Last Jedi, I have been both people in that conversation so many times. Because, like, no, Master, I screwed up. I need to feel bad about myself, and I need to not be a teacher because I'm a failure. And had my instructor be like, no, this is the gig. Like, sometimes you're going to screw up, or sometimes you're going to say something, and like that'll be the reason that somebody has a negative experience or whatever. And I've also had to be the person that, like, goes to the student after the fact, and it's like, this isn't the first time you've screwed up. I know it feels like it, but there's been a lot of them, and I've been here for all of them. And, like, you're going to survive this one just like those other ones. And so that moment in The Last Jedi is a top 3 Star Wars moment in general for me. The amount of time I have spent talking about Rise of Skywalker or Revenge of the Sith recently, and the speech that he gives Anakin when he's trying to help Anakin understand that, like, death is inevitable, and it's suffering is something that we don't want, but, like, death is an inevitable reality of existence, and fearing it does you no good. And being able to, like, connect with that speech and then see how Anakin just completely misses the message, you know, and so, like, those moments for Yoda, like, but for me personally as a teacher, it is the moment I met Plo Koon in the first episode of Clone Wars was the moment that he became my favorite Jedi.
Same. No, mine's from Jedi Power Battles, but no, I
My respect for Plo Koon went up as soon as he showed his caring for the clones. Like, that's when,
like, we're just clones, sir. Not to me. Like, that was just like, I'm in. I don't know who this guy is. I'm in. Sold.
It's a good guy right here.
And in terms of the fighting style, like, when you've been a martial artist for a really long time, you end up with your own style, regardless of what you have trained in, because it just becomes an amalgamation of everything you've done. And so, like, my Saber style is mostly Kenjutsu stuff, but there's a lot of Philippine stuff in there. There's a little bit of HEMA, plus, like, there are certain goofy knucklebally things you can do with a lightsaber that you can't do with other bladed weapons. And so, like, of the classic 7 forms, my best answer is none of them, because there's aspects of all 7 that honestly annoy me. And so, like, it's like, I can't in good conscience be like, I would do this one because it's not who I am as a teacher. It's not who I am as a duelist or a saberist. So we could invent a name for it if you want. We'll go with Maymoto, because that was my grandmother's maiden name. And so my style would be Maymoto. I'll type in the comments. I think I can do that. Right?
I respect it. Yeah, for me, well, you stole one of my answers. Plo Koon would definitely be my master. Ever since Jedi Power Battles, I loved him. In that game, he had, a yellow lightsaber, and then that became my favorite color for a lightsaber as well. He was a terrible character in the game. He was, like, really slow, but I'd always play him just because I don't know. I just loved him. Then, of course, seeing him in the Clone Wars and stuff, and then also the way he cares for Ahsoka. I think he is such a great, example of, like, the caring master who also understands not letting your emotions, take control and all that stuff. But as a drummer, because I am a musician, Economy of motion is just super important. And I look at Count Dooku fighting and deflecting things and making his opponents waste their energy, and that's how I would see myself dueling. It's not quite the lazy way, but I find it the most efficient way, at least.
And Christopher Lee was so good.
Oh yeah,
God, he was so good.
I mean, it's not fair. He actually does sword combat. Like,
yeah, he's a fencer.
The list of his life accomplishments is so ridiculous and so amazing.
He's badass. He's
so amazing.
Can't say anything else.
Yeah. There's just like, I was completely unaware of how much of an amazing person and indomitable badass he was for his entire life until I was watching one of the behind the scenes things from the Two Towers Lord of the Rings. Because Peter Jackson's telling a story of Christopher Lee saying, no, that's not what happens when you stab a guy in the back. This is how they respond.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, Count Dooku would also be a pretty cool master. Actually, no. After reading Dooku Jedi Lost, I don't want him for a master. But all right. So now I got to, before we really get into the nitty gritty, you got to know somewhat about your guys' Star Wars feels. Get a feel for it. So, real quick, what got you into Star Wars, and also let me get your top 3 Star Wars films. So I'll go to Grey Ghost Jedi first.
Well, when I got introduced to Star Wars, it was actually 2003, a year after Attack of the Clones, and it was during the 2003 Clone Wars animated series, and it was still playing on TV. So I came into the living room, crawling around as a little toddler, and my older brother was watching the animated series, and I saw a lightsaber for the first time. Now, as soon as I saw it ignite, heard the noise, saw Master Yoda slice through a droid while doing 15 somersaults really fast. It was like, oh my god, yes. And from there on out, it was Star Wars. And then my dad was like, hey, you want to be a martial artist? Because Jedi need to know how to fight. And that's true. They're pretty skilled at hand-to-hand combat. So it was Star Wars and martial arts at the same time. And yeah, that's how it went.
Especially watching the 2003 Clone Wars, watching Mace Windu with hand-to-hand combat, he was just broken.
He just punches through super battle droids like they were nothing. It was crazy.
Yes, it's so for me that came out around the same time that also the game Republic Commandos and stuff. At least that's when I was watching it. Which when you're playing Republic Commandos, when a super battle droid comes out, all hell breaks. You can only fight one. It's super tough. You need anti-armor equipment. You can't take it down normally. It takes forever. And then I'm watching Mace Windu over here why are we here? It's not even fair. Same question, you, Nika.
All right. I'm kind of a relatively new Star Wars fan. Well, besides the Lego Star Wars as a kid, because that game was amazing, even if you weren't a Star Wars fan.
Game was lit.
I have it on my phone.
Awesome.
But I was on Disney Plus last year, and I watched The Mandalorian. I was like, okay. I got to the end of season 1, and I was like, okay, I need to watch this entire universe. And I just dove in, became a fan, and brought a lightsaber.
I love it. And now I see you spinning your lightsaber every day, and your flows are getting more and more complex all the time.
Thank you. I try.
Awesome. And you know what? Let me get you first, and then I'll go back up to Grey Ghost. What are your favorite top 3 Star Wars films?
Okay, my top 3 are The Last Jedi, A New Hope, and Revenge of the Sith.
Interesting.
That is my list.
I love it. I'm going to have more questions for you later because I think it's fascinating to talk to someone that jumped in with everything out, and I'm curious how that changes things. But yeah, Grey Ghost, what were your top 3?
So Empire Strikes Back, This is going to be controversial. Number 2, Return of the Jedi, and then number 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Awesome. I love it. What's funny is I was much older when I actually realized that there was like some people who didn't like Return of the Jedi. Ewoks are fine, guys. They're fine. How about you, Master Allen?
I got to tell this story on a different podcast this past Monday. But so my first Star Wars memory is watching the VHS tape that was like a bootleg off of HBO. And so that was like, it wasn't even the movie, like in the et cetera, et cetera. It was recorded from TV because VCRs are magic. But New Hope and kind of diving in from there. And same thing, because like you see the lightsaber spark and there's that possibility. It's like, wow. Because when you're a kid and you can't imagine being Conan, because like you can't lift that sword. You look at that, you see it, and it's just like, he's really cool. I can't do that.
Also, as a kid, I was like, I'm not that buff.
It would be really cool to be him. Like that's like that for Batman, Indiana Jones, like any of those characters. You see them, and it would be really cool to be that character. But Star Wars, like you see the lightsaber, and it's like, man, I could be that. Like that wouldn't be too heavy or too like that's about what's inside you, the power that gives you, rather than how many push-ups you could do. And I was the fat kid with asthma. It's the reason why I got started in martial arts. And so, the idea of the, kind of the internal and the will being what made you good was huge for me. That's a part of the reason why I really love Green Lantern, because it's that same kind of thing. And so that was my beginning of Star Wars. That was the hook, and now the addiction. And my top 3. So as a kid, Return of the Jedi was my absolute favorite, because it was when you're under the age of 12, there are so many things in that movie that are just like right in your, because it's funny, but it's also scary and intense, and it's like you get all the emotions. Luke is awesome. There's a happy ending, like all this stuff. Whereas, as a kid, Empire Strikes Back was my least favorite back in the day when there were only 3 movies. But now as an adult, looking back through, and also having gone through the movie several times to like look at the choreography and see how they were designing it and learn about like the stage combat aspect of it. The Last Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and A New Hope are sort of 2A and 2B. And so depending on where I'm at with my day, whether I put Empire Strikes Back above New Hope or below it. But that's like, those are my, and I really don't like, apart from, there are 2 Star Wars movies that I generically dislike. Everything else I love for different reasons. So it's really hard to rank them. Like that blew up on TikTok for a little while. It was like everybody was doing their ranking of the Star Wars movies. But those are probably the 3 that resonate with me the most.
Awesome. I love it. And what's funny is like as I get more into like writing and like understanding filmmaking, like certain ones start to rise, and like also with rewatching and doing this podcast, my rankings have changed. Hannah, how about you?
Okay, so I got into Star Wars because of my dad. Like, he was the massive, big fan. Like, he had the old Ewok village, the old so when I was a kid, I just would like play with them, even though I wasn't technically supposed to, but I was like, hey, these are cool, let me play with these. And then I like really got into it, I think when I was like 6, because I went for Halloween as Boba Fett. So I was like dressed up as Boba Fett and running around on Halloween.
Solid.
I know, it was super cool. Like, I even had like a little jetpack and everything. It was really cool.
Nice.
I missed
so
it.
You're always the
That's
coolest.
dedication.
Yeah,
Okay.
I loved it. It was great. And then, so with the movies, when I was a kid, I'm gonna get hate for this, I feel like. When I was a kid, my like favorite movies were Attack of the Clone, as like my ultimate. I'd see it on, and I'd be like, I want to watch it just for the Coliseum. Like that scene, nothing else, nothing more. And then it was A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But now, since a lot of the newer movies came out, my list now is Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and then Solo. I really like the Solo movie.
Yeah,
Like,
very underrated. Very underrated film.
A lot of
Great heist movie.
Yeah, I liked it. Like, I didn't really see it until like 2 years after it came out. And then I like watched it and I was like, why did I never watch this? It's a side movie, but like I was like, I love this movie. So yeah, it's my super fun list.
Hey, here on the high ground, that's why I say top 3. So we're all sticking with the things we like, and yeah, no judgment here. Only respect. For me, so growing up, it was always Return of the Jedi was my favorite. I really feel like, and especially once I got into the books, I mean, one of the hallmarks on a lot of the books and some of the reasons why I love them is the separate but intertwining storylines that carry through them all. But that really didn't hit its like peak until Return of the Jedi. I feel like the end of Return of the Jedi is peak Star Wars as far as the spectacle goes. You know what I mean? But later things kind of switched up. Recently, The Last Jedi has become my number 1, although it seems like between Last Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, it's whatever I watched more recently is my favorite. So they're both up there, and then Return of the Jedi.
Good list.
Awesome.
Is there such thing as a bad list? Like,
fully agree. Next thing I was gonna jump to. Oh, we also got X-Core Gamer Skills talking about the.
I have my ROTJ font going on right now.
Nice.
It's from the deleted cave scene.
Oh. Yes, that's right. I knew it. love that. Jack Brody as Empire. Revenge of the Sith, and Tross as top 3. Love it. I love it. It's all unique, and that's why I love talking to different people. For instance, for a long time, Rogue One was my bottom of my list until I had a bunch of people on here to talk about why they loved Rogue One, and then I rewatched it, and it moved up. No, it didn't move up a lot, but it did move up. I think that's fun. All right, so next one is going to be kind of a lightning round. So we're going to hit your guys' favorite character and favorite lightsaber. But before we do, it's going to show. So for Caleb, it's Obi-Wan's favorite Jedi, his favorite character, with Qui-Gon's lightsaber, which is beautiful. Master 2187 Obi-Wan, but Darth Maul's double-bladed from the Phantom Menace. Specifically the Phantom Menace. Although I do think that his later one that was like half an Inquisitors and half
the one in Rogue One is freaking awesome. It looks so cool. Or Solo, excuse me. The end of Solo. Yes. That saber looks so awesome.
I don't know why, but the season 7 like double bladed half like new saber and his original saber looked really cool to me.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. We got Luke, and favorite saber is Sidious or Windu. Darth Sidious's hilt is so classy and like I don't know, it's beautiful. And my buddy Isaac, favorite Jedi, Qui-Gon, hates Dooku, but the lightsaber is
lightsaber's dope.
We got James O'Connell here. It used to be Kit Fisto, now it's Rey. Favorite lightsaber is Rey or Gunji's. Gunji's hilt is beautiful. The wood, it's like so beautifully crafted. Jordan,
respect, James. Respect.
Solid
also agreeing with it. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, how about you guys? We'll start with Nika.
All right. My favorite Jedi. I used to say Rey, but then everybody was like, "You cosplay Obi-Wan," and I was like, "That is a good point. Obi-Wan is a classy guy, so Obi-Wan is moved up over Rey, but I still love Rey."
No wrong answer. No wrong answer.
And For lightsaber, it used to be like, the flashiest lightsaber is the coolest one, but the more I spin, the more practical my lightsaber has to become. So I have landed on Obi-Wan for just because he has a nice grip, a nice area. I don't have to use two hands. I can single-hand it and do just fine. It's probably my favorite lightsaber right now.
It's funny, especially once you start getting your hands on certain sabers that you thought were cool, and then you're like you pick up Revan's lightsaber and it feels like you're holding blades in your hand, and you're like, how do you
trying to fight while you're holding a cheese grater?
Exactly. How about you, Master Allen?
So Yoda, and I already talked a lot about why when I had to second place him just a little while ago. Mm-hmm. There's just so many things about him. And there really isn't a lightsaber from the films or the cartoons or whatever that I like, because they are all so rough on your hands. And so for spinners, some of the people that do a lot of the flow tricking and things like that, some of the handles you can kind of get away with because they have a big enough area you can hold that it doesn't rip your hands into cottage cheese. But if you're going to two-hand and you're going to train with people and spar and things like that, they're all just like, nope, this is pain with a flashlight inside it. And so the closest one is Qui-Gon. But the rest of them are just awful. And the Graflex, I wouldn't, just nowhere near it.
I started learning with the Graflex, and it's the worst.
I just started with that. I hate it.
Oh my god, it's awful.
Is so terrible to spin.
There's nowhere to put your hand. There's just nowhere. Even if you have small hands, there's nowhere to put your hand.
Like, I tried up here to hold it because I can't hold it down here. I tried
holding it up
here and it just...
That's the grip that I would use when I started.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And then if your hands are small enough to fit in there, you can't get all the way around it. So it's like you're holding a mag light, and then you can't spin it because of that reason. They're awful.
It's like a handful of Legos with a lightsaber.
It's just awful. Yes. There's one from the comic book that I'm actually really excited about, and it's a little bit like Gunji's. And so somebody brought that up. But so Buckets of Blood from the IDW comic, I know some of you guys have gotten a chance to read them. And so Torben Buck's saber is the handle is wood, and it looks like the bottom of an axe handle. And so there was a drawing of it in the last issue, or maybe the issue before, something like that. And so that one that is currently my favorite one, also because I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that I can deliver on a promise I made to Daniel Jose Older in one of his lives, where it's like, yeah, I'll cosplay Buckets of Blood, no problem. And now undertaking that is like, if I finish that by Christmas, I'm going to be super proud of myself.
I can't say that. Anyways, I just had some new cosplays that I would like to pull from the High Republic, but we shall see. I won't announce them until after the 29th of this month. So
that is not cool. No, that's not acceptable. Give us one, like tease one.
Well, actually, I do like. No, I can't even really say that. No, there's spoilers from some stuff that's just not quite out there.
Okay.
But
maybe it could be like the Tom Holland of cosplay spoilers.
Exactly. For me, favorite character, and also, I already talked about Plo Koon, and then Gunji's lightsaber is just beautiful, and it looks so comfortable, and I love the concept of incorporating wood in the hilt. Back in Legends, I was like obsessed with Plo Koon's master, which was Tavoka. Also, yellow lightsaber, it wouldn't help. It's just the coolest thing. And I can't remember. Did I start with you, Hannah?
No.
No. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite character and lightsaber.
My favorite character is Obi-Wan. Hands down, always will be Obi-Wan. And that's why I had my Graflex in my hand. I was like, this was my favorite. until I actually got my hands on it. But my favorite lightsaber now is Rey's lightsaber, like her, the one she gets at the end. Like
That
I
one's
love
not
the way
bad.
I love
Yeah.
the way it turns on, and it's my favorite. I want one so bad.
I know a guy.
You might have to message me.
This is sponsored by Level Up
I'm the
Lightsabers. No,
Better than a stick.
yeah, a lightsaber.
Side note,
Better than a stick. It's a hot stick. Yes.
Isaac has been exchanging some stuff with Core. So Isaac, if you are a fan of Chaco's pod, there's a link. You can click the link, and the lightsabers are there. You can do that while you're watching us, because I assume you're on a computer, and you can do that. You could get a lightsaber through Chaco's link, or if you were Nico's fan. Wait a minute, there we go. Nico's fan. Nico's got a link too.
Ah, nice. Yeah, and I mean, I love my saber. It's classy. It's just over there right now.
This is Chaco's house, so I gotta push Chaco.
But yeah, it's all about. I do love my Level Up lights. I've been hurt before, and so I was happy Master Allen came through. Go ahead.
Watching his videos, him literally just beating everything with him. I'm like, geez, like that might need one of those. The way you just beat things with them, like if the saber can withstand that, may need to grab one.
So Isaac, check out Chaco's either his Instagram or his TikTok, and you'll be able to do the. Chaco's got it.
Well, yeah. I'll reach out to Isaac. Isaac is a friend I've known for years.
Perfect.
But yes. How about you, Grey Ghost?
So when I was a kid, it was Anakin, because, emotions are a problem when you're a little child and you have the full spectrum of human emotions. So it seemed, relatable. But now I really like Darth Bane. I've been reading a lot of Legends books about him and Darth Xana. And for favorite lightsaber hilt, it's either like the Empire Strikes Back version of the Graflex or Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker Thin Neck. Either one of those would be perfect for me.
Yeah. No, awesome choices, and huge fan of the Bane trilogy myself. I wish that we could get someone like Githany in canon. I think that would be interesting. But anyways, that's a whole separate topic. I'm actually going to be doing an Old Republic full podcast episode once Sawyerism actually finishes the books. But whatever. No stress on her.
No pressure.
Yes.
There's pressure, but not mean pressure.
But yeah, so you guys are all awesome at spinning your lightsabers and have tons and tons of videos on them. And I'm curious. I believe Grey Ghost Jedi has the fastest Obi-Annie. I would bet.
Oh, yes, I do.
I don't know.
Yes,
Hannah's is really good.
I've been challenging everybody, but people don't respond, and people say that they're scared of me, but I don't want to say that. But I think I do. I'm. It's not like an ego thing. I'm just
I still want to see it, because Hannah's is really fast. Nico, you're always in your room, and I know you can give it some more gas, a little bit more room.
I might have to go outside.
We got a donation. Thank you so much.
What's up, Ellen?
Good old Element 7. Shout out to Master Allen and the Saber community. That's a
Nice
good.
to see
We
the
always talk about
dyad
it
fully
as well.
represented.
Always.
They include blades.
And yes, Isaac, they do.
They include blades.
They include blades.
Shipping's free too. International shipping as well. Podcast, commercial, whatever. It's
It's all good. So yeah, I mean, what was that? How'd you guys get into that and get to your guys' levels? And also, real quick, Nico, if you end up having to leave, totally cool. So just let me know. All
right.
Yeah. And for this one, I guess I'm going to start with Master Allen. So we kind of got that you started with some martial arts. I'm curious about where that came from and that journey.
So I've been doing martial arts longer than a lot of you guys have been alive, because that's what happens when you're closing in on 40. So I did my first karate class in 1993. And so we moved down to Kentucky from Massachusetts, and finding activities was really hard because, as I mentioned earlier, I was the fat kid with asthma, and there's a whole lot of stuff here in Kentucky that I'm allergic to. And cold air was also a problem. So there wasn't a sport that I could do and also breathe. And breathing in sports are like really important. And so I ended up taking a martial arts class. And I know I look it, but I'm a quarter Japanese. My grandmother's originally from Okinawa. And so that was part of looking
I picked it up when you mentioned her maiden name.
Maymoto didn't sound European. And it's Maymoto, not Mayamoto. I had that wrong for a really long time in my youth. But that was part of looking for a karate school versus a martial art that wasn't originally Japanese. And so that was the beginning of my martial arts journey. Then that was, being an instructor was my job in high school. And then I went to college because I thought I wanted to do something else. But it turns out that most people are kind of like, you're only good at like 2 or 3 things. And so mine is apparently being a martial arts instructor. And that has given me the opportunity and the resources to cross-train in a whole bunch of different martial arts. Arnis Lanata and Ignacio Kali, which is super similar to everybody that, if you guys have seen any of Big Bang Mike's stuff. So the Ensenado family is his mom's family. She was in that last episode of Mando, or no, the Ahsoka episode of Mando. But the Ensenado Kali is super similar to the Ignacio Kali, the guy I trained with. Studied with a bunch of those people out there in LA. And so all of those things together are then what sort of brought me into sabering. So most of my genesis for lightsaber is like some of the Aikiken, which is the samurai sword Nikido, some other Kenjutsu, a little bit of Kendo, a ton of Philippine stuff. Plus, I've done a little bit of the peasant sword, which is sort of ninja sword, that's complicated because ninja didn't technically exist like we think they did, and the ninja sword didn't technically exist like we thought it did, but a sword of that size did exist, and you did use it different from a katana. So that was that was the beginning of all of that. And then keeping people in my sword class was really hard because I'd hand you a wooden sword and say, pretend this is a sword, and most people could get like 75-80% of the way there. And then as soon as I discovered companies that made durable lightsabers, then I started getting a few here and there as the dojo could afford it. And when I hand somebody $100 flashlight and say, pretend this is a lightsaber, everybody is 115% there right away, and they are ready. And they are enthusiastic. And so it let me teach my samurai sword curriculum and then mix in some other stuff as I've had people get more experience. But it let me teach that samurai sword curriculum in a context where more people more excitedly participate. And that's sort of how I got here. And then I started selling lightsabers because I've had a lot of really negative experience with customer service from different companies.
You purchased from Ultra Sabers, didn't you?
I've purchased from a lot of companies, and I haven't had a good customer service experience yet. With the exception of, I will say very good things about Kyberlight. I've talked to their owner a couple of times in the process of getting to where I am, and that dude is a very good dude. But I've had lots of struggles with customer service, and I was just like, you know what? I bet even with being dad, husband, master Allen at a martial arts school, and I bet I can do better customer service than this. And I have gotten a lot of positive feedback about that customer service up to this point. And so I wanna believe that at this point, I'm delivering on that goal. And I realized that this was not supposed to be a speech, and I'm sorry about that. But it's like it took me 27 years to get to where I'm at, so it's hard to summarize that.
No, I mean, lots of experience. Also, I mean, I think it's cool that you do like lives and stuff while you're packaging sabers. We can ask questions and stuff like that and see that they're going out. Cool stuff like that. So we appreciate someone that is actually bridging that gap. Because, like I said, I've been hurt before. I won a lightsaber in November on it, and when I received it in late February, it was the wrong one. And it wasn't even the correct color variant of what the other one should have been. And it rattled. Everything was falling apart. The things weren't, the buttons weren't seated properly. Like, everything possible. And I was like...
Oh, I'm thinking of 2 companies you probably got that from.
I had this conversation with Choco when it happened. I know who it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
We already talked about it.
I've been hurt before. Hannah, how about you? How'd you get started with your mad skills? You mentioned, well, now I can't think of their names. So yeah, go ahead.
Michelle C. Smith and Big Daddy Yankee. So I was on TikTok. I started my TikTok account a year ago, like a year and a few days ago, and I was just scrolling, just looking on TikTok, and then I came across Big Daddy Yankee, Carly King, one of her photos, and I was like, no way they actually make lightsabers. Like, there can't be. Like, you don't actually make lightsabers. They can't. So I saw, and I bought one. I made the mistake. I bought from Ultra Saber, so that was a bad thing. But then because it was the start of COVID, everything shut down. I lost my job, and I was like, all right, I need a hobby. And I was waiting for my lightsaber, so then I bought one off Amazon to get there quicker, and I just was like playing with it. And then I stumbled across Michelle C. Smith. So I was like, okay, I can like, I know her. She can throw. She's amazing.
Throws and
like,
stuff. Yeah,
I just want to be Michelle C. Smith would be amazing. Like, just to throw that and not have to worry about whacking yourself. I would love it. But yeah. So that's kind of where I started, and then I kind of stopped for like a month because I was like, there's not much I can do. I was getting like real frustrated. And then I kind of used it as a coping mechanism because my dog passed away. So I started spinning like more frequently and spinning on TikTok. And then from there, it just kind of taken off. So if as crappy as it sounds, if my dog didn't pass away, I wouldn't have focused more on that to help me relieve like all my stress and everything from that situation. So it's been cool.
Suki, don't listen to her.
I know. Puppy, be quiet. Don't listen. I didn't even notice.
Everything's fine. Everybody's fine.
You're fine, dog. You will not ever experience what he had to. I promise you'll be okay. But yeah, It really helped. Like, spinning and starting a community on TikTok really helped me after everything that happened between losing my job and losing my dog and COVID just in general was like screwing everyone over. But yeah, ever since then, I've been learning off of Michelle C. Smith. I've watched a bunch of Grey Ghost Jedi's videos too to help me. So thanks for making some videos.
No problem.
Just a few here and there. I've been like, let me look at that video and see how he's doing that so I can mimic it. But yeah, that's practically how I learned. Besides Michelle C. Smith tutorials, I've watched like lightsaber videos and been like, I bet I could mimic that. And then I just like sit there for like 20 minutes trying exactly how they're doing it, and then eventually get it. Like, I'll get mad if I didn't get it. And I was like, I got this. I promise I can get it. And then I'd get it. So that's
it's funny because they all look so easy, and you're like, oh, reverse Obiani, super easy, and then you're like, where does my arm go?
Yeah.
My elbow doesn't bend the way that it does in the video.
That's how it was learning it, because I was trying to mock this one guy who did it, and I was like, I can do that, and then I was watching it and I kept like smacking myself in the face because I was like, well, I can if I move it this way, and it just kept whoop whoop, And I was like, all right, maybe not that way. But the amount of fail videos I have to actual working videos is like, but
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And how about you, Grey Ghost?
So like Master Allen, I did study under karate, specifically Kempo karate, which is just, American karate, which was brought over by Ed Parker. I'm not too sure, but throughout
Parker,
my
Kenpo, was it with an N or with an M?
N.
That's Ed Parker.
Okay. So I started with Kenpo karate, and while learning that, I kind of was on and off because most of the stuff I would learn was from my dad, and he was a black belt in karate as well. And while learning from my dad and various dojo masters, I was also learning Aido and Kendo to help with sword fighting. And then this is like, when I was starting to make my own lightsabers in my backyard out of PVC and like crutches. After my brother had ALS surgery, I made a makeshift lightsaber out of crutches. And I was just, watching the Star Wars movies in my living room. I would watch Anakin do the Obi-Annie, and eventually I got it and added speed, and eventually my arm got strong enough that I could do it as fast as I'm able to do now. And then my first lightsaber I actually had was a Master Replica's Anakin Force Effects lightsaber, and that's what I started out with. It was a pain. Graflexes are the most uncomfortable saber you can ever use while learning to spin, so don't get one. If you're spinning with it, get one for display. But yeah, it was just a pain. The grips weren't rubber, they were plastic. The activation clamp switch got in the way, so did the CoverTech wheel. The bunny ears were a pain, but I somehow managed to grip it the proper way to, start learning, the figure eight crossover, just basic saber spins. And then eventually I just started adapting into new moves from Clone Wars, the sequel movies, just, creating my own style and even creating some of my own moves, like the tornado spin. And like Master Allen said, the more you do it, you kind of just create your own style. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
And so you said that you have to make your arm stronger to go faster? Because I'll start working out so I can go faster.
Football did help a lot and just strength training for that. But it does help if you have a tiny bit of muscle, but it's more just muscle memory and getting used to the actual movement than it is strength. But strength training does help with stamina, and so you don't cramp up your arm when doing it too fast.
Real speed is also making sure you get your length, the ratio right. Because if it's too long, you're not going to be able to be fast. And if it's too short, it won't have enough mass, and then you run into the same problem, but the other direction. So there's going to be a sweet spot for your length that is the fastest you can be. And that might be like a 28, it might be a 32, or whatever. I know a lot of the stuff that you and I use in our videos are the 36 and ditto for Grey Ghost, because that's a lot of things ship with a 36. But like if you want to focus on,
keep going. Give me 1 second to take care of my dog.
No problem. Yeah, if you wanna like speed, you got to find the length that you don't have to do the goofy thing with your elbow to keep them hitting the ground.
Oh yeah, because mine's like almost as tall as me.
Right, and so you're having to do this little it's almost like a chicken wing motion, so you don't hit the ground. Right, and so you have to get your blade at a length where you don't have to do that to get it to come around, and that's going to be where you're going to maximize your speed.
I started with 36-inch blades, and I noticed they bended, like, when I spun them too fast, they created too much drag. So I'm at a 34-inch now, which is like perfect. So
34.
Yeah.
I'm writing all these.
That's how you. That's how you know
30,
it is.
32 is my sweet spot.
Fast when it has too much drag. You're like the air resistance. It has like a spoiler on it. Yeah.
Well, and the NeoPixel blades, because there's more weight in the blade down the length.
Yeah.
Then that's also part of it. And then Corellia, good to see ya. And so she asked the depending on your blade, how you cut it. And so the NeoPixel blade, so like Hannah had hers in the background, it had the multicolor. And Ghost has done his a couple of times where when you spark it, the light travels down the length of the blade. Do not cut NeoPixel blades. Order them to the length that you want. Do not cut them. But the base lightsaber, so like the one that I sent you however long ago that was now, the easiest way to do it is you get a pipe cutter, and they're going to be like $10 on Amazon. And you find the length that you want to cut it, and the pipe cutter is going to spin around, and you tighten it, and then you spin around, and you tighten it. But that'll let you customize your blade length to you, so that you can customize it to your height. And then the tube will come off. There'll be some plastic film. You just snip that with a pair of scissors, and then your blade is now customized. And it's super fast.
Do you use the hip trick? The hip trick?
Tug.
So basically, the way to find out your perfect blade length, stand up the saber next to your hip, and if it goes up to your hip, that's like the perfect length. If it goes past your hip bone, like up to your waist, it's too long. So right about at your hip bone would be like the perfect size.
That's also going to depend on the length of your hilt, though, right?
Depending on the hilt too.
But it's the arm to leg geometry of the ground. That's why. But the one that I use, because this is because arm length is actually a lot more variable than you realize till you're teaching 20, 30 people. You hold the handle where you're going to hold it, and then you relax your arm down at your side, and you want the blade to stop on the ground right in front of your toes.
All of my lightsabers are too long then.
How tall are you, Hannah?
I'm 5'4".
Yeah, so you probably need to be like I would start with like a 32-inch, and you may even need to go shorter than that. But that's
because I have a 30-inch and then I have a 32-inch, but they're super light because I can spin my NeoPixel faster than I can spin my my baselit ones.
It's more weight in the blade, so it's
So I might have to get a 32-inch NeoPixel blade.
Interesting.
Hopefully.
Make sure you reset your programs, because your electronics aren't going to know that all of a sudden there are less pixels.
Yeah, your tip drag might get screwed up.
Oh no, I'll ask my buddies how to do that, because I just figured out how to like program lightsaber, so I'll ask them before I mess up anything.
And then Nico, I know you're newer to Star Wars, but how did you start getting into your spins?
I had a Disney Parks Kylo Ren hilt that I bought like after I watched the movies, and it was really, thinking back, it was a really thick handle even for me. So now it's like, how was I even doing anything with that lightsaber? Now I got to have super skinny lightsabers so I can have proper grip on them.
Legacy sabers aren't 1-to-1 scale. They're like here.
They're like gigantic.
Yeah, that's not movie accurate.
No, this is huge.
And like the ones at the Disney parks and stuff are just enormous as well. But I mean, Master Allen was doing a nice little series called Will It Spin? And he was Obi-Anning things that were not supposed to be Obi-Anning.
Anna did one too, I think.
Anna did a clump too.
I've done 3 of them. One of them got taken down though because I used like an actual like sword. TikTok didn't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, TikTok.
Oh, TikTok.
Gotta love them.
They love taking my videos down. But no, that was a super fun series. I even spun a lamp and a leaf blower.
Oh. Oddly enough, I learned how to Obi-Annie from nunchucks. I don't know. I was walking around San Francisco and I got a pair of training nunchucks, and I just started going nuts on them and like learning those years ago. And then when I picked up a lightsaber, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's actually less stuff to.
I want to get nunchucks, but I don't think they're legal here.
It's super weird just do the Obi-Annie with nunchucks, because I did it with nunchucks before, and it was weird just because it kept like moving, because I've never picked up nunchucks, and I was like,
hold closer to the bottom. Yeah. It'll fix that.
Yeah.
I don't
closer
have the
you are to the rope, the more wiggle you're going to get as it changes direction. If you're all the way to the bottom, then it won't do that.
I don't have them anymore, but if I did, I'd mess with them more.
Certain states, a nunchuck is something that is covered by like the concealed carry. So like different states treat nunchucks differently as a weapon. And so like I live in a state where I can just like have them in my car for no reason, which as a martial arts instructor is handy because I've got a lot of weird random stuff in my car.
Yeah.
But when I go and visit friends at the schools in Massachusetts, it's very, very different.
Yeah, I live in
I can have the
Massachusetts.
swords, I can't have the nunchucks.
I hope they're not illegal where I'm at, because I just posted a confession about
Just
it.
don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
You're
What they
right.
don't know doesn't hurt them.
It's
You're
not
right.
like a. Hopefully, you're not driving around fighting him. I mean,
Awkward to have
Michelangelo
in a
was my
pocket.
favorite turtle as well. Okay, and I know I think Nico might have to get going real quick, but
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Nico.
I'll miss you.
So real quick, I also wanted to kind of talk about our favorite duels throughout the trilogies, and since Nico has to take off, can you hit me with your favorite one from each trilogy?
All right, my favorite duel from the sequels is The Last Jedi Throne Room duel. I just love everything leading up, and then when that moment happens, it's just like, oh my god, this movie's still going. And from the original trilogy, it is Luke and Vader, and the first time they duel. I just like how you can tell Vader's kind of patient, testing. He's just kind of holding his own, and Luke is still there, just like emotional.
Yeah.
And then he becomes more of a Jedi later on, which I love. And then in the prequels, it is, of course, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Revenge of the Sith. That is, every time I look at it, I'm still like, how? Like, even now, I'm like, I need to train to do some of these moves consecutively, at least for one good take.
No, I love it. Awesome, man. I appreciate any. I mean, feel free to hang out until you have to go. I just want to make sure I got stuff from you. But I will go up to.
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
I
have to go to work. Thank you for having me on, Taco.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
And I'll see you guys all on TikTok. Thanks everyone for watching.
Nice to hang out with you, dude.
You too, guys. Later.
Yes. Later. All right. So real quick, I'm going to hit I arranged them sequels, original, prequels, because I do feel like the sequels have the weakest dueling. And so let's, depending on what exactly interests you in dueling. So, all right, let's hit sequels first. What is your favorite duel? We'll start with Hannah. But yeah, favorite duel.
I think my favorite duel, I'm like stuck between two, the throne room, because I love just the whole aesthetic of it and them just literally beating the crap out of everyone. Or when Rey and Kylo are versing on the Death Star like pieces. It's been a while since I watched the sequels, but yeah, the Death Star, and it's like all the water and everything. I really like that one too. So it's a tie between those two.
Okay, love it. How about you, Grey Ghost?
For the sequels, I do like The Force Awakens, and I also like, it's not really a lightsaber duel, but I like Ben Solo going up against the Knights of Ren. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The choreography that was wonderful.
Yeah.
You get to see the change in him. Like entirely different person, duelists, and like has flow and stuff. Like yeah.
Because he didn't fight like Kylo, he fought like Ben. Like that was and they made really intentional stylistic things that, like, I'm not a huge fan of JJ, but I really appreciated the design of that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and then also, you guys feel free to, elaborate more into like why you like the duels. So yeah, how about you, Alan?
All right, so my top three, two of them are in The Last Jedi. So the fight teams for Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, there was a lot of overlap in the fight teams. The fight team for The Last Jedi was different, which it's not that unusual, but the choreography design was really different. Like, so the first and third movies has a lot of similarity, and then the bridge movie has got a lot of things unique to it. But so if you break down, anytime you're watching a fight scene, especially when you're rewatching it, and so Hannah, as you're like looking for stuff you want to emulate, and Ghost, I know, you talk about doing this too. When you look at the choreography, if you break the story of the fight down, like the same way that you would diagram like, you know, a play or the narrative structure or whatever. Most fight scenes are 3-act structure. And so like Force Awakens, the big fight at the end, first act, Kylo is wrecking stuff. Middle act, Rey taps into the Force. She surprises Kylo and she almost beats him. And then the third act, when Kylo gets like mad and you know that stuff is about to go wrong, the third act doesn't get to happen because the planet splits in half. So there's this like this undelivered like thing. And I don't love that fight, but I appreciate that story.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Jedi throne room fight scene is so awesome for so many reasons, and it has the biggest freaking like tease in the whole movie. So every Reylo you talk to, they have at some point had as a wallpaper on their computer or their phone or whatever scene in that fight where like Rey is kind of reaching back and you know, and so that moment where their bodies make this yin yang shape is the peak of the second act of that fight scene. So in the first act, they're separate and they're fighting separately and they're sort of bringing themselves closer together. In that middle act, they are fighting together. And they show us in that middle act of that fight scene how good it is, like how good they could be, the thigh grab. Like they show us like how awesome they could be. Like when it's working, when they're a team and when they're together, this is how awesome it is. This is how good they are. This is unstoppable. And then so it was they sort of rotated in and then they rotated back apart from each other in the third act as they separate. And then there's the reach for the saber that breaks the saber that concludes that, right? And so like that, the story of that, plus the beauty of the choreography, plus the way that like Lucas was huge on using color to tell story, and like that whole throne room, like there's all of this red and the red gets burned away. And because like, you know, the different colors representing different people and different emotions and all these things. And there's all this, the yin yang stuff that sort of like re-solidifies. And then we get down to Crate where everything's white. And when you disturb the ground, now the red's back. And so there's like the throne room fight scene then transitions down to the Luke and Kylo fight scene where Kylo's choreography, like that anger that he comes out and he brings at Luke, is the exact same sequence of strikes that Rey was using to train against the Rock. And so when people hate on the house, like when people hate on that, and it's like, no, that's there on purpose. That's part of this story. And if you didn't notice, that's okay. The only reason why I know is because I'm a nerd and I took it apart to copy it. Like, I don't think that what I'm doing is normal. I'm past that point.
I'm sorry, but I'll have to disagree with you about the Last Jedi duel and its choreography. I do see some moments where, like, you know, especially for this scene, I'm sure you guys have seen, like, 3 people attack Rey at once. I do like the cinematography, the mise-en-scène, the colors. It's very great use. But the choreography, I don't know, it's not the best, like, compared to The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker.
That is a stylistic difference. That is not a better or worse evaluation. You are talking about your subjective preference, and that's cool. But you can't say best.
But when 3 people attack Rey and she kicks one of the people, and then the 3 people fall back.
Do you want to break down the Return of the Jedi fight scene?
Well, and so
look at Star Wars fight. There's a lot of like, oh, we're going to use choreography to make the fight go
and
longer.
Then the disappearing weapon. I mean, it's cool. I like the scenes. I like, you know, the noticeable difference of Rey's lightsaber technique and how she's somewhat improved after practicing with the lightsaber and getting more familiar with it. But at the same time, I just feel like they could have done a little bit better with the scene. But, you know, that's just my opinion.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Please do.
This is completely off topic, but I do like when Kylo literally just stabs someone in the head with it. Like he just
that was cool. On. I like that scene. That was.
I didn't want to get in while you guys were going at it, but I wanted to add in that when he got stabbed in the face, I thought that was pretty funny, pretty cool.
That's a great moment.
Fantastic moment. No, I just want to say because I don't want this to be a like.
No.
But I will say real quick. I mean, when you watch a scene, like for one thing, Rey doesn't actually kick three people. Like 3 people attack, 2 of them spin off. She kicks 1 of them. But yeah, there are absolutely different issues in choreography. So if the goal is only choreography, then that is one thing. But the story of the fight, the emotion, the cinematography, having the actors there and how the camera moves through the scene, zooming in and out on people's faces, moving, panning over here. Because we're always going to be able to find issues. In the prequels, we see Anakin get his lightsaber stuck on his cloak once. We see, for some reason, Palpatine has Anakin's hilt when he's fighting Mace Windu. Obi-Wan and Anakin switch lightsabers.
Stuff like that.
Well, and sometimes you film choreography that you don't end up using.
Yeah.
Which is
there was a scene where Palpatine grabbed Anakin's lightsaber, but that was later deleted. That's why there's like a scene of him using Anakin's lightsaber.
And there's the saber switch that Kenobi has with Anakin in the Mustafar fight. But here's as a martial artist, once upon a time, I was extremely critical of all basically stage combat, because fights in movies aren't like fights in real life. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And one of them is because fights in real life are over in 5 seconds. And if you don't know what you're doing, then if you're watching that fight, like not only is it over really fast, but you can't tell what happened. And so a stage fight has to tell a story with action. Like a martial arts movie and a musical, it's the exact same formula, but a martial arts movie uses a choreographed fight scene to demonstrate that something important happened either with a character or between 2 characters. And a musical uses a big song and dance number. And like, you're not going to walk in Kroger and all of a sudden see somebody break into song as they are stacking toilet paper. But it happens in musicals because it's not about this action that is real. It's about using that moment to convey emotion in a different way because it's a visual medium. And so if you've got a preference for like the original trilogy fight scenes that are a certain style, or the prequel fight scenes that are a certain style, like we have between the 3 trilogies, we have 4 different styles of choreography. And so like it is completely valid and totally fine to have a preferred style. There are a lot of people that really like the OT. That's the very patient kind of samurai movie-esque, sort of thing.
To prequels, it's Wushu Kung Fu, and then is sequels like Hema? I feel like it's a little bit more Hema inspired.
The prequels are described as being Wushu, but most of the fight teams are not Wushu people. They're more Asian martial artists and sequel fight teams than there were on the prequel ones. But that's just like the one that is most like like a Chinese opera fight scene is the Last Jedi throne room. Like that's of all the choreography, that's the one that's most like that. And the prequels are a lot of wire work, which we associate with that style of movie, but that was a filming technology more than.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I'm
really excited to get to the OT now.
Yeah, so I put the OT in the middle. It's actually my favorite personally.
Did Ghost get to go? Did I go last?
No, Greg goes already. You went last.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Original trilogy is actually my favorite because of just the emotions and the filming techniques behind the duel. Specifically, Luke versus Vader for the first time in Empire is my favorite duel in Star Wars. But I'll get. I don't want to take anything from anyone else, so I'll let Greg go first. Original trilogy.
I know this is kind of weird, but I do like the first lightsaber duel. I really do. I like the idea of Obi-Wan being so old and wise, and like that's why it doesn't take a lot of energy for him to like parry moves. It's kind of cool because you think he's this master, he's this experienced with lightsaber dueling, but he does have to deal with his old age. But, he's still so experienced that he doesn't have to put, like, all the flashiness into his sorsu movements that he did when he was in the Clone Wars, per se. But he can just accurately pinpoint each strike Oh, Hannah just disappeared from us.
Yeah, Hannah dropped out, but happens from time to time. And maybe it's because she was filming on her cell phone, so she'll probably pop back up. Yep.
She's back.
Hey.
It
Hello?
disconnected.
She's over there.
It randomly just shut off. Hello. Sorry
It's all
about
good.
that.
Crisis averted.
No worries. But yeah, go and continue.
But yeah, I think the New Hope duel, like, you know, it's probably not the best from what we've seen now. The prequels, it's, you know, more flashy stuff. But I just like the idea because sword fighting in real life is not flashy. It's most sword fights last 1 or 2 seconds. So I feel like that was the most accurate version of, you know, sword fighting shown in Star Wars. That's why I like it the most.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that fight. People always ask me, what do you think of, was it scene 35 or 42 or whatever, the one on YouTube? And I don't want to break people's heart, but I hate it so much. Like, it like,
I think
it's cool choreography, but it
Yeah.
feels soulless.
it's out of place for that movie, I feel like.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Master Allen? OT?
So, my favorite part about talking about the OT choreography has absolutely nothing to do. It's all about the meta and not about the storytelling, like, or the, you know, the story layer. It's all the meta layer. So, like, there are a lot of people that list the Empire Strikes Back Saber fight as their favorite. There are a lot of Star Wars fans that is their go-to. And they talk about how dramatic it feels, how it feels like Vader is toying with Luke for parts of it, and some other things like that. And so they ran into a huge problem with the original trilogy. The Vader costume, Vader couldn't have his hands above his face because of the cowl. And so his arm movements were really, really limited. And so when you watch the choreography, Vader can basically do 4 corners. He's doing like a really, really basic parry and swing set of movements that he can physically do in the costume. And so in order to disguise that limitation, they use a lot of forced perspective, and they make Luke's choreography really complex. And it's completely like a sleight of hand thing. And so you don't notice how limited Vader is having to be because Luke is doing all this really unnecessary twisting. Like, there's one point where he hits on one side and then twists his body all the way around so that he can hit on the same side.
Yeah.
Yes, I
kind of weird.
always laugh about that part.
But it's and so like that, like the
terrible, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I always like that next to the Office thing of like, don't do the twirl. I hate the twirl.
but that's but it's entirely it was a filmmaking trick, for lack of a better word, to compensate for a mechanical problem that they had that they didn't have a good solution for. You know, now
they have a good canon explanation for it now, which is awesome. Like,
yeah, but that's like the canon explanation on Luke's green lightsaber. Like, I appreciate that there's a canon reason, but the canon, like, the explanation comes after the mechanical solution. So the meta to me is more interesting because we encountered a problem and we solved it this way, and then all the hand waving after the fact is like that was George Lucas handing off to somebody else to solve a problem that he didn't think was a problem, because he solved the problem that was important to him, which was the mechanical problem of filming. And the story stuff, like well, what about this? It's a metaphor, okay? You handle that. Like, and that was, and so that to me is one of the really interesting and fascinating things. And the Star Wars movies were mechanical failures on so many levels, and for it to have become this huge thing that we all love. Like, he had to invent special effects technology in New Hope and other things in order to make the movie the way he wanted. And part of the reason why the special editions happened, that some fans really hate, but part of the reason why he's done it is because there were so many things from even A New Hope that he was really mad that it looked the way that it did. It wasn't how he wanted to look at it. It wasn't how his vision was. And that includes a whole bunch of things. He didn't have a way to redo the fight scenes. If he did, he would have.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at his commentary and things like that, like, there are a lot of things about the Empire Strikes Back fight that he wanted different, but he was bound by the limitations of costuming and physics and light. And
so are you going to make me quote Marvel? Tony, I'm limited by the technology of my time. No, like one of the most beautiful, things of that was in A New Hope, where they couldn't make a lightsaber come out, so he had it aimed directly at the camera and made it look like it did, which was just beautiful. But Hannah, take it away. Favorite original trilogy? What do you got?
So my favorite actually is when they're at Cloud City, when it is Luke and Vader.
So dramatic.
It is. It's so dramatic, and that's what I love about it. Is because I know you're like, well, yeah, they're toying. Yeah, they was toying with them, even though if you didn't look at it from like a breakdown, because I just kind of magic sword swinging and hitting each other. So
it's a totally viable way to consume Star Wars.
Exactly. But no, I loved it because it was like the first standoff that they got to have where they're actually like going at it for once. And I really liked it. That was my favorite one.
Awesome.
Luke gets to come into his power.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm yes, Commander Scythe. I love pineapple on my
pizza. Pineapple pizza. When I get a craving for it, I do eat it. It's good, all right? I don't care what anybody else says. I think it's amazing.
Let's see here.
Don't let me hang it.
Oh. Back to Jakku says their favorite OT duel is R2 and Yoda.
Good choice.
Oh, that's the best one. What are we talking about?
That scene, when Yoda pops up in that movie, I still laugh hysterically at how do you get so big eating food of this kind, and all that stuff. I love
Trolling Luke. What's going to happen when I disappoint you? Are you going to be like your dad?
He's testing his patience.
Oh, him and R2. That's just beating the crap out of him.
And then he whacks the door closed, and then like harumphs in victory. It's beautiful.
Oh.
So for me, I also go with the Cloud City duel, because of like I said, to me it's what is this fight informing me as like a storytelling wise, and that's for me that's always number one. And that's kind of why. That's actually why I prefer the original trilogy fights the most, because I feel like they tell the largest story. On average, right? Obviously, like Battle of the Heroes does tell a huge story, but on that, like the first fight with Maul doesn't in the context of the film, because there's no relationship or anything like that. But yeah, you have him coming in to fight the person who killed his father. He's been training for weeks, and he's not ready. He shouldn't be there. It's super weird that he's there, and you find out that this whole thing was a trap. Him running off doesn't work and all that. But yeah, the thematic nature of it, the way that this is framed as this heroic rescue, but as soon as he comes up into that chamber, dead silent. There's no music or anything like that playing as the fight unfolds, and he's fighting Vader, and Vader's only ignites the blade second, only holds it with one hand. Music doesn't start until he gets two hands on it and starts using the Force and stuff. And like just, little things like that just always get me when it comes to the storytelling nature of it. And like they start out in this big broad room, and then it just gets smaller and smaller and more cramped, and they're in a smaller room, and then he's on a catwalk, and it's at the end of the catwalk, and it's like it's hope running out is really what it feels, and and he loses. And I mean, Luke doesn't really know what's going to happen when he just falls off this thing, right? He's not. That was hope running out. Like, yeah, I messed up, and then Vader's reaction just like, "Aw."
Shit.
He is my kid. I would have done that.
What a dramatic. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much to Paul. I always appreciate the Paul. He's the best. But yeah, that's what sticks out to me. Let's see here, I got Lord Tyrannus. Yeah.
Lord Tyrannus, your favorite duel was the Dooku one? Wait a minute. Why is your favorite one the one where Dooku loses? Or are you talking? Oh, no. That's the one where Dooku wins. Okay. Now I get it. I'm
sensing bias.
Yeah, little bit. That is an awesome fight, though. I do love it. And then X-Core Gamer Skills. Don't forget, Luke beat the brakes off of Vader in Return of the Jedi. I asked the question today of whether or not Vader was fully fighting. I'm going to put my thoughts in a video tomorrow, but it's a heated discussion. I've been enjoying it. But all right, prequel fights. What do we got? Now, you guys all switched positions, so I'm going to try and keep it. Well, all right, so I'm going Master Allen first.
Right.
Yeah, prequel fights.
So the stylization of the fights in the prequels I'm not fond of, and the nature of the storytelling is really different. So of all the various choreography, like that plus, I know, Hannah, you listed it as one of your favorites, but the Kylo and Rey on the Death Star, like that whole sequence is not. I don't love the way that one was blacked out. But in the prequels, my favorite fight is actually what Lord Tyrannus just brought up. Is the Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting Dooku, getting rocked, getting absolutely rocked, and Yoda coming in, and because like that, that fight scene, like if we do the acts, right? So there's Act 1. All right, there's 2 of us. We're going to fight Dooku. This is going to be fine. End of Act 1. Oh, this isn't going to be fine. Act 2, it's not fine. Anakin's missing an arm. Things are bad. And then Yoda comes in and he has the Clint Eastwood moment. And then Act 3 is Yoda's dangerous? I didn't know Yoda was dangerous.
You got to be worried of the small people. They'll get you. And the small.
That Saber ignition noise is just one of my favorites in the whole trilogy.
And like, so there's so many things about it that, like, you see that moment and the way he's walking up, and up to this point, we've only ever seen him still with a cane. So it's like, okay, Yoda's sort of on the decrepit side, etc., etc. And then there is the laser buzzsaw. And then you get it, like, oh, this is why he's Master Yoda. And so the story of that, like that arc for me, is really cool. And then that makes the Yoda and Sidious fight scene later a lot cooler, because we get to see how amazing Yoda is. And so then later when he's fighting Sidious, because the fight where Sidious just wrecks a bunch of Jedi that at the time we see it, we don't know who they are. Like that scene doesn't make us afraid of him. Like that makes us feel like those Jedi were kind of chumps. Because the Clone Wars episodes and all that stuff, like we didn't have enough context at the time that we saw that movie. So it didn't, like we didn't know any of those people were functioning. But then we knew how bad Yoda was, because Yoda was a bad man. And so then when he's fighting Sidious and
just to add to what you were saying earlier in the film, we had the joke from Obi-Wan where he's like, if you practiced, fighting the same as your wit, you would rival Yoda as a swordsman.
Rival Master Yoda.
I thought I already did. He did not, in fact, rival.
But that, so like it's, and the Attack of the Clones, there are a lot of people that put that in their bottom 5, but that's for the prequel fight scenes. That one's my favorite one. I think that one's the one that, like, I enjoy kind of, doing the analysis of the most and that kind of stuff.
Interesting. I like it. I love that analysis. How about you, Hannah?
So I have 2 that are kind of ranked at the top. So we got the Obi-Wan and Anakin at Mustafar, because the whole story. You see a lot of I think it's the longest duel that we see, maybe not. I'm not 100% sure, but you get to see a whole variety of how they're fighting, and the story is either you win or you die, and that's like it puts you on edge. Like, oh my god, is one of them gonna fall into the lava? Is the other one just gonna mistake and just get cut? Like, you didn't know. And then another one of my favorites is the Phantom Menace when it's Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. That one was emotional for me because I really liked Qui-Gon when I first watched it. So I was like, what do you mean he just died?
The true Jedi.
Yeah, like the superior Mr. wants everything to be good. He saw the best in Anakin. But yeah, that one, because also you never see anyone with a double blade. So that was really cool for me to see too, is how Darth Maul reacted to fighting two, but he was able to hold them both off because he had two blades. So that's another.
So good.
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
Ray
he's
Park
amazing.
is so good.
He is amazing. But yeah, those are my two ranked. They're kind of like at the top together.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to compete with the John Williams, the emotion when the second blade emits. As a kid in the theater, like my heart just like leapt out of my chest, and then I died. I had to come back and watch it another time because I wasn't ready.
I had the same reaction to that lightsaber as like, you know, seeing the crossguard for the first time. I was like, what? They can do that now? Like,
Yeah.
what?
They fly now?
They fly now.
Someone's just gonna helicopter spin with one, just start whoosh.
Oh no.
It's not the worst thing in Star Wars. It's not.
It's
The
not.
helicopter lightsabers aren't.
Amber Medea
Not my favorite thing, but they're not the worst thing in Star Wars.
Be
I love
cool.
how every time Obi-Wan is about to duel, he starts with a dramatic, it's me, Anastasia, rope drop.
Yeah.
I always wonder how many robes he goes through, like, in the course of a year. Because, you know, he just leaves them around all the different
Yeah, he doesn't
planets
go back
and
and
stuff.
like pick it up.
Buddha Pow, like,
Yeah, he didn't go. He was cold the rest of the time. Grey Ghost Jedi. How about you with the prequels?
I do have two favorite ones for the prequel movies. Are we doing a Clone Wars section? Because I do want to talk about some Clone Wars duels, if that's okay.
Oh god, I would have picked the animated ones over the live action ones. I didn't even think about that. Good call.
After this,
Good call.
we'll do one more pass of everything else. How's that?
All right, sounds good. But I like Battle of the Heroes, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, because, you know, you can see how intense it is. You see that Anakin and Obi-Wan both know each other's styles. They've been training together. They've been fighting together for a long time. So, of course, they're going to know each other's styles, Obi-Wan preferring Sorsu and Anakin preferring DMSO. So I get it. Like, a lot of people say it's flashy. And like the Obi-Annie spin kind of scene, a lot of people make fun of that, but like I feel like it's just misdirection, and they're trying to catch each other off like guard because they know each other's styles to a T. So they're both trying to, like, you know, improvise, do these different things, and the Obi-Annie scene is just them trying to confuse each other until they finally strike and do the force push. And then, of course, the Phantom Menace Darth Maul scene. I really love working with bow staffs in real life, so seeing that was just awesome. Ray Park is just amazing, and I'm jealous because Carly King got to see Ray Park, and I can't see him, so it's annoying.
I feel that.
No, I love it. There's a few things that I go back and forth with. I mean, like I was saying earlier, you know, the Phantom Menace, the fight in the Phantom Menace is so beautifully choreographed. I mean, to me, I think that's the best choreographed fight in my you know, layman's opinion.
We had Liam Neeson and Ray Park, who have been really, really physical actors. Like that was the two people that they've ever had with the most background in, like, you know, stage combat ever in a Star Wars movie. We still haven't had two people with resumes like those guys have.
And then you put them up against each other too, so it's like
yeah, it's so good. And then, you know, having Obi-Wan lose his master there. I mean, obviously there are still always going to be spots where they're swinging in a way that's not actually going to hit anyone and stuff like that. And I guess technically, it's and that's the point. It's stage combat. You know, the way Obi-Wan defeats Maul doesn't make any sense. If you're facing him with your lightsaber out and drawn,
if he jumps, just like
for as fast as a lightsaber deploys, it seems like it would be really hard to be caught off guard if you were holding one. Like, it's just for as fast as those blades come out, you know.
And he does a full 180 before he's cut in half. And so, you know what I mean? Like, not like a backstrike or anything, which I always think is, but everything else, like, it's the choreography is so tight on it, and it's just so beautiful. So I really enjoy that. But like I said, during that movie, there's no relationship. You know what I mean? It's Obi-Wan watching his master die. Like, that's the deep portion. But yeah, when we get Battle of the Heroes, we have their backstory. Now, you know, I watched this before the Clone Wars was a thing, so there is some parts missing between their relationship, but I still really felt it in that moment. Yeah, and real quick though, the Dooku fight earlier in that film, the first half, I can't watch it anymore. it just, I don't know. There's a bunch of weird stuff, and that's like my least favorite fight in all of Star Wars. But
it's kind of slow for me, to be honest. Like, it has a very slow start.
He just says, Sith, what does he say? Sith are a specialty, and then gets knocked out. Like, 5 seconds afterward, he's just on the ground, gone.
Yeah, poor guy. But I think, you know, it's also important that we know it's not necessarily like this person is always better, so it always wins. Fights are not like that. Most fights, if you're near equal, it can go either way. In a lot of cases, but like in Star Wars, still, I feel like it's more of a tier system with good and bad matchups, and not like a strict hierarchy.
Well, the Freddie Prinze interview where he mentions that Maul is Sisyphus.
Yeah,
there's also very much all the lightsaber fights are always a Deus Ex Machina, because it is a dark side of the Force and the light side of the Force. But if we think about like the Force as sort of a greater, you know, like that higher power piece, the Force is deciding. Like, the reason why Maul lost is because the Force chose Kenobi. And so like any of the fights, like the reason why Dooku lost is because the Force chose Anakin. The reason why, you know, like it's like you can do it like that because there's so much intentional linkage to Greek drama. Yeah, where it's like this person was chosen by the gods, this person is Perseus, this person is Theseus, this person is, like, you know, those sorts of things. Like, I mean, Anakin himself is, you know, like a little bit of Oedipus and a little bit of not Narcissus, crap, but like it's like he's two different tragic Greek figures that were also operatic tropes that Lucas was like, oh, I'm going to borrow that. And we're going to tell the story this way, and there's like this little bit of addiction symbology as well, and that, so it's like the Force is choosing who it wants to have win, and Maul wants it. He wants it so bad, and that's why he's Sisyphus, because he wants to be the one that the Force picks. So he gets right there. He gets right on the edge, and then the Force picks the other person. Force picks Ahsoka. Force picks Kenobi. Force picks Kenobi again. Right?
Yeah, he is pretty tragic. No, but I love it. We got some other people here in the chat. Julia Christine says Duel of Fates has Obi-Wan, which, yeah, absolutely. Liam doesn't get enough credit, for sure. Very talented man who had a lot of fun. He loves Star Wars, which is just really cool to me. Obi-Wan's little bouncy bounce.
Oh yeah.
Click on Element's comment. I want to answer Element. The end of Beowulf, or well, excuse me, middle of Beowulf. Beowulf says, God will save a man if his courage holds. And that's an aspect of the tragic hero, is he's got to take his fortunes to the last minute in order to be saved. And that's a part of those tropes, is you gotta see it through to the end and not know.
Yeah, and the way I kind of take it is not necessarily that in the grand scheme of things, that it's George Lucas that chooses,
it's the writer.
The Force.
Yeah, it's the writer.
George Lucas is the Force. He made
And that's the Deus Ex Machina. Like,
exactly. You know what I mean? We're in a situation, especially with the prequels, where we have to match up to this. You know, there's Dave Filoni even answers that question for the season 7 fight with Ahsoka and Maul.
Mm-hmm.
That Maul is the more skilled fighter, and he's like, yeah, we know Maul had to lose here, but you know, he is a more skilled fighter. But his, you know, he has this ego and all this stuff. So yeah, that's always going to be a huge part of it. Can we talk about skills?
Is this the Rey Skywalker can't use a lightsaber because she trained with a bow staff argument? I feel like it does translate. I feel like it does definitely translate because, you know, the blades are made of plasma. Plasma has weight. So it does act similar to a bow staff because both ends have weight. And yeah, I feel like it definitely translates. And seeing Rey, like, you know, use her makeshift bow staff, this is why I wanted Rey to have a double-bladed saber. I really thought that was going to happen. So it just would have made sense to me. But I feel like, yeah, it does translate. So I'm sure Master Allen could also approve of this.
I've done that. Well, but I've done this speech. So whenever you train in a martial art of any kind, especially if it's a weapon art, you are getting 2 sets of skills. You have fight skills that are independent of your weapon, and you have weapon skills that are specific to your weapon. Bow staff weapon skills translate to lots of other weapons. There are a lot of martial arts systems that think of a staff, a long staff, short staff, whatever, as a grandfather weapon or a grandmother weapon. And so that's like, if there's a martial artist that tells you that staff doesn't translate to sword or staff doesn't translate to bladed implements or whatever, if there's somebody that tells you that a staff doesn't translate at all, that is either a person that is not a martial artist or that is a person that hasn't trained in very many weapons. That's like, it's how it works.
Yeah, and I just had to bring it up because it's a question I get asked like on a near daily basis. You know, I already admitted I learned how to OBN from nunchucks. Like there's certain
perfect example.
Like I don't know. Let's see here, and then Lord Terrence started with the lightsaber and it translated to a bow staff. So, but yeah, let's well, real quick, let's go around and talk about, you know, what we loved from all the other media, right? So we have animated shows and whatnot, and definitely want to go to Hannah.
So I'm gonna be 100% honest. I have not watched a lot of the animated shows.
That is okay.
Fake fan.
That's because she's too busy. She's too busy OBNing. There's nothing wrong with that.
I've only watched.
She's coming for you, man.
I think I watched up to season 3 of the Clone Wars, and that was like 6 months ago. But I like know what happened, so if you guys like say stuff, I already know that happens. So don't worry. But I did watch the Ahsoka and Maul fight, and I really liked that one. So I watched that on YouTube, and that was one of my favorite ones.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
The motion tracking, amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Now, but that being said, I am including, you know, all the others, which would also include Mandalorian, if you're caught up.
Oh, yeah. I'm caught up. Okay. So then I liked the, when it was, I don't know where, the Ahsoka episode, when she versed, I cannot remember her name, but when they were versing over, like, the water and everything, I really
The Magistrate.
Yes, thank you. I could not, my brain's like fuzzy tonight. But yes, I really liked that as well. That fight was really cool to me.
Yeah, we had that beautiful aesthetic. We had Kurosawa happening on one side, and we had a Clint Eastwood Western happening on the other side. It was just like, I don't know, so cool. And also, don't, you're not alone, Hannah. But go ahead.
And then also the end of season 2. I don't know if people have seen it, and I don't know if that's a spoiler, but when
it's been long enough, I think you can probably tell. So.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Luke comes. I love when he literally just destroyed all of the Dark Troopers. Like, that was just, they're all like, it's the end. Like, we're all gonna die. Like, they're too powerful. And then all of a sudden, just badass Luke just comes through and just takes them all out. But yeah, I really liked that scene. That was probably one of my scenes in Mandalorian.
Everyone else that was inside of the room was having a Toy Story 3 moment of doom. And then Luke comes. Awesome. How about you, Grey Ghost Jedi?
I gotta plug in. I'll be right back, guys. Hold on.
Oh, and then also, I'm gonna add one other caveat, and I will come back to you, Hannah. So don't worry. Your favorites from the other media, and then also what your dream duel would be. What characters would you want to see duel? Any era, anything. It's Battlefront 2, but your imagination.
Well, I really like Obi-Wan versus Savage and Maul. And Obi-Wan using Jar-Kai, which is like a rare thing. We've seen Obi-Wan use the form of Jar-Kai once earlier in the seasons when he used Exar Kun. No, not Exar Kun. Jesus Christ.
That's a name I haven't heard.
Not Exar. I forgot the name. I was just listening. Oh my god. I can't remember. Yellow Stripe. Remind me. Yellow stripe on his face. Undercover Jedi.
Quinlan Voss.
Yeah,
Quinlan Voss. Yes, I'm getting so much hate. Yeah, Quinlan Voss. But like, I really like Obi-Wan's versus Savage and Maul's duel. Like, it just shows how skilled Obi-Wan is. And then you got the soundtrack, which is epic, and then you got Hondo in the next room, just like trying to convince his friends to come back. I love Hondo. And then, if you ever seen the Star Wars: The Old Republic trailers with the Sith Wars and Darth Malgus and him taking over the Jedi Temple, those cutscenes are amazing. And then you get to see Satele Shan, and then it's just, that's what I want to see in movies, just like overpowered force pushes that destroy a whole building, like all that stuff. And for a dream lightsaber fight, it would be, I want to see like Revan versus the Eternal Empire with I don't know, Bastille Shan, and just like that whole, like, because I've only heard it in audiobooks and while reading the Old Republic, storyboards, and I just want to see Revan. I want to see Keanu Reeves Revan. Is it just me?
He has a tremendous martial arts background. That dude is for real. He has got a major martial arts background. I would love to see him in Star Wars.
Oh, Amber said Xana/Bane versus Farfalla. That's another one that I'd like to see in live action too.
I just want to see Lord Farfalla. I just want to see him like being all fancy and prancing around and stuff. I don't know, he's just a funny guy to me. Awesome. And then I'll go to Master Alan and Hannah. Keep cooking up your dream fight. But yeah, Master Alan, your other media and your dream duel that you'd like to see.
All right, so I love Ahsoka as a character. I don't love the way they choreograph a lot of her fights. They look really cool, but like mechanically, I don't love how she fights, and so it's not realistic. It's just the way that they block things, like the way that they like frame stuff and things like that. It's not my favorite. There are a lot of people that it is their favorite, so I don't want to dunk on it. But that's why all of my answers to these following questions are going to be devoid of Ahsoka, and I don't want anybody to think that I am opposed to that character at all, because I fully acknowledge that she is one of the best things to have not only come out of the animated, but also like coming into the live action, having that is something I'm really excited about. So my favorite off movie lightsaber fight is the last Kenobi Maul fight. Because it's not a fight. It's a samurai movie fight.
Yeah.
But it does this wonderful bridge of the Kenobi that we see in A New Hope that is very much like a wedge, right? And the Kenobi that we had seen in all of the prequel everything, like between Clone Wars and the prequel movies and etc. And so here is this grizzled old man facing somebody that has spent their entire life hating him and wanting him dead, and accepting the challenge of this fight, and then being there in the last moments of this opponent that has done terrible things to him. Like Maul caused a lot of pain for Kenobi, like starting out with Qui-Gon and then going on and on and on. But like Kenobi never had a burning grudge against Maul, but like one of the reasons why Maul is still alive at that point is because he hated Kenobi so much and wanted to get an opportunity to have revenge. Like that's the story of Maul surviving getting cut in half and then being able to like get junk legs and stuff, is that he was so mad that he kept himself alive with angry. Yeah. and that was because of Kenobi. And so this final fight scene that is all very like immediate and is also like just a perfect metaphor of Maul's anger and Maul's want to be the one, getting him this close. And all the times like he gets this close and he doesn't get it either, and then either has to run away or is, defeated in some context or whatever. Like there's the fight where Sidious kills his brother, all that kind of stuff. And
it's almost like his overconfidence is his weakness.
Well, it's the Sisyphus analogy. It's also there are a lot of characters where it's like you
it's
have
over, Maul. I'm better than you.
There's this one thing that gets them to where, like almost to where they want to be. Like it's what gets them there, but then it's also what keeps them from reaching the next step. And that's part of the lesson of that type of character, is that like you have to, like when you're there, in order to get what you want, sometimes you have to change. And so that fight to me. And now Dream Fight. This one's going to be short, and I think everybody's going to be fully on board with me. I want to watch Kylo Ren fight Pong Krell, because I think Kylo would make him hurt, and I would want to watch him getting hurt.
I've never thought about that before. That would have never come into my mind.
Isn't it a delightful thing to think about?
Two very interesting lightsaber noises.
Right.
And, oh my, you opened my eyes, sir. Oh my god, that's
because
crazy.
Kylo would take his time. Like Kylo would want to see the moment, like would want to see in Pong Krell's eyes the moment where Pong Krell realized he had never had a chance the entire time. Like Kylo would fight him to that point.
I want to see Kylo attack aggressively, then see Pong Krell has his skills with his two double-bladed sabers and kind of just study his movements, and then eventually like Kylo overpowers him. Yeah.
Just, one arm or finger at a time. I'm good with either version of that.
As long as Krell loses, I'm happy.
Exactly.
Real quick, I have Lord Tyrannus. It would be Anakin Revenge of the Sith versus Maul at full power for his dream fight. You got Luke versus Dooku, both in their primes.
Oh, Dooku would win.
I agree. JC kind of gives us something. He's like, Keanu doesn't age, so we don't need to rush. I like this one, Anakin versus Vader. Would be an interesting fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Alan says, if we actually got to see Anakin versus Palpatine, I mean, like Palpatine would have won, but I would love to see it.
It would have been like watching a janitor with a mop.
Anakin versus Mace Windu.
Just play the Revenge of the Sith game, and then you can do it.
True. Anakin versus Yoda. And then we have a lot of... I get a lot of people asking for like full potential. I don't even know what that means because it doesn't make sense to me. I can't
Nobody can truly reach their full potential. Like,
that's such a nebulous term.
Yeah.
Go
the
on
Anakin versus
Dragon
Yoda
Ball
fight. Training isn't like a video game. It's like I wish it was like an RPG. God, I wish it was. I would be so much better.
I'd be in such great shape if you just had to do it once and you were just like there. It was a permanent.
No, you just like, or you grind one thing or whatever. Anakin versus Yoda, I think would be awesome, but not for the reasons that some people think. Like, because that fight wouldn't be close at all, but I think it would be hilarious. It would be like every martial arts movie where like the young kid attacks the master and doesn't realize like what kind of hornet's nest he just made.
Like an Ip Man movie, like he just barely does it.
Okay, so now I kind of need to see Tara Sinube as like some type of drunken master, and like I just
oh my god,
I kind of need that. All right, Hannah, your dream battle.
So my dream would be Mace Windu at his prime versus Yoda at his prime. That one would be an interesting one.
I would love to see it. I mean, I'm still going Yoda on it, but it would not be easy on either of them. And also for me, it's funny to see anyone fight Yoda because he's so small. And one of my favorite things ever is when Yoda walks into Sidious's office and just kind of flexes, and the guards just go bop, and you're like, all right, that's an entrance.
You have to try it.
That is the entrance. He's like, well, you know, if so powerful you are, why leave? But when Yoda force pushes him and he just tumbles over like so ungracefully into the chair and his butt's all in the air, and like I just always laugh at how like at that scene. For me, if I'm going animated fight though, I love watching Sidious handle Maul and Savage.
That is an awesome fight. Because
the fighting style is so like interesting and raw and kind of
unnatural.
Savage. Yeah,
so, like, he's bending his back like over. It's like very flexible.
Laughing maniacally the whole time. Now, this one kind of blew my mind. Jaina Solo versus Kylo Ren. I'm a huge Legends fan. Jaina's taking that W. She's she's taking that fight, but
well, the power creep with Legends makes it so that like any of
that's
like,
true.
That's
power creep was a big thing, especially when people go Super Saiyan and stuff.
Oh Jesus!
Force Storm.
Luke taking down an AT-AT with one hand, like crushing
a Star Destroyer into a pod.
Force Awakens, love the games, but that's a little bit too much, like OP.
I mean, when Jason Solo got oneness and he became part of the Force without becoming part of the Force, and he was glowing, he was
alive.
He was literally a Super Saiyan. Like he went supersonic, and we were like, all right, we need to scale this back a little bit. We've lost the lead.
Reset. The shark was back there. We already jumped over.
But dream fight to me though is, well, now you have me thinking about Pong Krell, and I want to see Grievous versus Pong Krell because there would be so many lightsaber blades, and you wouldn't know what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Would it be?
It would be fun to watch the Zack Snyder version of that fight.
Yes, that's the only way we would know.
Oh, that's what's happening.
Or
like
D Squad arc, we give
ago.
them all lightsabers, see what happens. It'd be like the robot battle league, but yeah,
just a bunch of B1 battle droids and just drop a bunch of lightsabers and see what happens.
Yeah,
the ultimate droid battle.
There would somehow they would manage to have it be there wasn't one left standing; they were all destroyed.
C-3PO versus AP was AP-40. Dang, now I can't remember.
000.
000 would be this too dangerous to be left alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for talking lightsabers and getting nerdy. I love that we each, have different things that we really look for and appreciate the most in a fight. I mean, I didn't talk about it much, but like the music in fights as well is like enormous for me. Lord Jarnes just said, I also want Dooku Prime versus Mace Prime. That I think would be a really interesting fight. Because I do feel like that would be super close, personally. That being said, yeah, if we want to go back around and if we have, closing thoughts as well as, let people know where we can find you and all of your stuff. And I'll go to Hannah first.
Well, thank you for inviting me, because this was really fun to actually sit down and talk with everyone about our different Star Wars favorites and whatnot. It's super cool to figure out everyone else's favorite movies. So I appreciate that. I really appreciate you and everyone that would join me, so we could all have a really fun talk. You can find me on TikTok at hannah.emp or on Instagram hannahs.emp, and those are my two channels that I have where I post lightsaber videos. And
Is the EMP for electromagnetic pulse? I'm curious. Okay.
I thought it was like Empire.
No, it's my initials.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just made it one day and I was like, you know what? We'll do EMP. And I was like, that's all I can think about. So yeah, it's just that.
Sometimes you don't go viral on purpose. Like,
Oh no.
you do a thing and it goes viral. Like, you might be spinning a lightsaber and looking awesome while you're doing it. I have to point over here because she's right there. Or you might say your lightsaber is better than a stick, and that's why you go viral. So then all of a sudden your name's all over all of your social media and
My
20,000 people following you, and it's just like, oh great. Well, we like to change this now.
one of my videos on my Instagram just went viral, and it didn't get on the good viral side of Instagram. It got 1 million views, and it was everyone just being complete a-holes to me because I was a youngling joke, but a lot of people didn't get it. And it was just like, it was a lot of stupid female, you don't know what the line was, and I was like, I just wanted to kill children.
This wasn't that funny a joke, and you're making it worse.
Exactly. But I was like, it's fun. So Instagram's a really interesting platform. If you don't like TikTok, go on Instagram. You'll something.
Super excited about what's in my future then. Thank you, Hannah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome. How about you, Grey Ghost?
Yeah, I have a Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and a TikTok, all with the same name, Grey Ghost Jedi. I can't guarantee you'll see my TikTok videos because TikTok doesn't like me lately, but yeah. Thank you for having me. This was really fun to talk to everybody, especially Master Alan, and having someone else to talk about martial arts with, and Hannah. It was amazing to talk with you, and thank you everybody for coming on. Yeah.
Hopefully it was nice talking to me too, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for inviting me. This was awesome.
That's the mark of being a good host.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
I just had to. And then last but not least, we have. Did you have any final thoughts on any of the stuff, Grey Ghost? I didn't want you to only hit your socials. If you had any final thoughts on fighting rules or anything.
Practice the Obi-Annie.
Become the Obi-Annie. I mean,
all right, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
All right, I do need more challengers.
I'm coming for you. Fine.
All right, and then last but not least, we have Master Alan. But first, I got to call out X-Core Gamer Skills, who says that he's going to be on this podcast soon. X-Core Gamer Skills and Paul just started a podcast called the Conspiracy Cantina, and so you can always check those out. So I always like to help out any friends I can. But yeah, Master Alan?
So I'm gonna actually. I don't normally at the end of these. I don't spend a lot of energy plugging myself. Oh, Hannah disappeared again. Bye, Hannah. But so first one, everybody, if you are already following Chaco, he has a link. Hannah's back. He has a link.
I'm sorry. My phone.
We're all super stressed about it. It's all good. I'm glad you got back in. But Chaco is one of my affiliates at Level Up Lightsaber, so he's got a link. And if you want to support his channel, don't follow the link in my socials. Follow the link in his. And that's going to help support his channel. If you see other creators that you really love that list themselves as affiliates, follow their link. I'm very, very happy for you to follow mine, but I would prefer it if you follow theirs because it helps me support them. And that's something that I'm really glad I'm in a position to do. So Darth Chaco, Level Up Lightsaber affiliate link. I personally guarantee that the lightsabers that I sell are better than a stick. And if you can find a better promise than that from another saber company, you let me know. And I'm not going to change mine because I went viral for it by accident. Great Ghost Jedi bought his from a company that uses the same manufacturer I do because there's like 3 companies that make all this stuff.
This is from Saber Trio, if you guys are wondering.
Saber Trio, Crimson Dawn. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us that use this manufacturer. We do the service, they do the making. Hannah, you're with Crimson Dawn, right? Or somebody else?
I have no affiliates.
What?
No.
DM me. We're fixing that tonight. DM me. I'm not kidding.
DM you. Yes.
I thought I messaged you about that already. I didn't realize it.
I think you messaged me once, but that was when I was like real confused about all of Saber and affiliates. So I will DM you right after this.
Sounds good. And we'll talk about the Ray Saber because that was on our to-do list anyway. But I have something to plug that's actually personal. It is not Star Wars related. And so in my bio, so I am at Level Up Light 1 on Instagram and on TikTok. My wife works for an organization here in Louisville, Kentucky called Maryhurst. And Maryhurst is a part of a bigger organization called the Sisters of the Good Shepherd. And what Maryhurst does here locally is they take kids, and it's mostly girls, that have been taken by the state because they were in households where a lot of bad things were happening. And they provide health care, they provide trauma care, they have dormitories for some cases, they have foster programming. But it's education support, it's life skills, it's trauma care, it's medication, it's all of this stuff is what they provide for all of these people that have not had somebody in their corner in their lives. And this week, they do what is called the Week of Hope. And the Week of Hope is a big sort of a crowdfunding, sort of a fundraising push. My wife has been with this company for 17 years. And so she set the goal of $1,700, which is dramatically higher than she has ever done with a previous Week of Hope. But she's been there for a really long time. She wanted to make a big deal out of it. And so all week I'm plugging this everywhere I go. But if you click on my bio at my Level Up Light 1, in the link in my bio is my Beacons page, and I have my wife's fundraising link in the very top. We're up to, I think we were at around $300 the last I looked at it. So if you go to at Level Up Light 1, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, and then my bio, there'll be a Beacons link, and the link to the fundraiser is going to be right there. But anybody that could chip in $1, I'd really appreciate it. It's a message that is really, or a mission that is really important. And my wife has spent a lot longer than she's known me helping with that mission. She actually started working at Maryhurst in the dormitories, which means like working directly with the girls and that kind of stuff. And she has since, like, she's moved into admin, and now most of what she does is deal with insurance companies and Medicare providers or Medicaid providers and stuff like that. But like she has done a lot and worked with a lot of people. So anybody that can help, I appreciate it.
Yes. And yeah, while we're still talking, I'm going to see if I can grab that link because I have. Well, I'll shoot it over to Isaac myself personally, or if you can put it.
I can toss it in our comments really quick. This will just take me a second, and then you can copy and paste.
No, but that's an awesome cause. Oh, go ahead, Hannah.
Bio for you. If you send me the link too, I'll put it in my TikTok bio.
Because rebellions are built on hope, and so
I shall do the same.
Indeed, I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. So I'm going to toss it into our. There it is. So it's in our private chat link or code or whatever.
And also, if you want to, go to Master Alan's page, you can also see him eating Kit Kat bars like some sort of beast.
Wait, you make ASMR content? I love that.
No, he just eats them wrong. And also, you can get into odd debates on what is and is not a sandwich, which I did join. So,
hot dog is not a sandwich. Hot dog is not a sandwich.
Open face sandwich.
Someone watching.
You're welcome to be wrong. It's okay. Like, you can just be wrong on the internet. Like, you're allowed. There's nobody that comes in and makes you stop. Like, there's all these people that, like, they hang out together and they talk about being wrong and they think the earth is flat. And that's fine. Like, there's not a law that says that they have to be right on the internet. So you can think a hot dog isn't a sandwich, and that's okay. That's, like, totally allowed.
Like,
the original Christmas special can be your favorite Star Wars movie. It's okay.
Not the Christmas special.
No, not the Christmas special.
Well,
the Lego one was fun.
I like the Lego one.
The Lego one was fun.
I mean, so we'll go ahead and end on that low note. You guys can dream of Lumpy, but yes, thank you everyone for coming. Appreciate all of you guys. Everyone here. You're all welcome back at everyone that's still watching. May the force be with you always.
Thank you.